Are you? Why is that so funny? Are you?
Yeah, duh, what the hell?
Oh yeah, you're very sensitive.
I mean, I don't see ghosts. I can't see ghosts. My dad could see ghosts.
Then why are you so afraid if you can't see? Is it just like fear of unknown?
No, because I watch too much Ghost Adventures, and even though you can't see them, shut up, don't judge. Even though you can't see them, you still can hear them, and maybe they'll harm me. Because I know that they want to connect to people.
So you definitely believe in ghosts, then? You definitely believe that they exist.
I believe that there are roaming souls. Roaming souls. That sounds like a band name. Roaming souls. You know that I used to live in an old building, right? An old apartment. It's like 40 years old. That was my old house, right? I never even had any paranormal experiences prior to this one. So it was early in the morning and I was about to go to school. So I got up, and don't judge me, but I was looking for my housekeeper or maid, and I wasn't wearing my glasses. I know a lot of people will be like, you're not wearing your glasses, so which means you can't see shit, you know, which means there might not be a ghost there, but I can see things, it's blurry. And I went to the living room and I saw a shadow. Typically I will think that it's my maid, and I kept calling out her name, but she didn't respond at all. So I was a bit wary, and I questioned why is she not answering to me, and I kept calling. Out of nowhere, my maid came out from the kitchen behind me, and this shadow was literally still standing there.
That's creepy.
No, he was standing there in the middle of my living room, and when I turned back to look into the living room,
could you see like any facial features?
I can see the head. I saw the head, and then the shoulder, and then the body. It was just a black figure.
But you couldn't see like details of the face.
No, but I saw the head like slowly turn.
Oh gosh.
And
I have goosebumps.
Stare and stare, and I stared back like an idiot. And then my mate was like, "What?" And I'm like,
Your mate didn't see it.
No, I was the only one there. And this motherfucking ghost turned back to the sofa and then bent down and then disappeared. And I'm like,
wait, so he bent down into the sofa?
yeah, and then he disappeared. I'm like,
maybe he lives in the sofa.
maybe he's like,
you don't have a haunted house, you have a haunted sofa.
Maybe he's just like, bitch, I'm trying to rest. Bye.
Oh my gosh.
It was said that my area, the Novena area, had a lot of dead soldiers because of the Japanese occupation, right? So a lot of people were killed at that area.
Oh, is it? I didn't know.
I didn't know, but I read somewhere on the internet that the Novena and the Newton area, my area, had a lot of past. A lot of
history.
Yeah, a lot of history. Another one. Okay, I don't know why I have like at least 3 paranormal experiences in my old house, and they were when I was still in secondary school. Then the second one, it was still morning, and I was about to go brush my teeth and get ready for school. Why is this always happening before I go to school? Like,
something's like preventing you from going to school.
Because education is bad for you. Don't go to school. No, go to school. Stay in school.
Stay in school, kids.
So, don't do drugs. Stay in school. Then
this is becoming a PSA.
every night when I go to sleep, I turn my radio on and I keep it on until I wake up because I don't like silence in the dark. That sounds like a horror movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, so in the morning I will wake up, and the first thing I do is switch off the aircon, and I'll switch off the small lamp, and I'll switch off the radio. And the radio, I switch it off from the socket, right? And I went to the kitchen to brush my teeth. Out of the blue, I hear a click, like click, and then the sound of the radio station got loud, like somebody turned
Turned
the
up
knob of the volume really loud to the extreme, and then suddenly it just went back to the minimum and clicked off again. Like click. Click. So I went to my bedroom and I looked in, and I thought that my maid was inside and accidentally switched on the socket to the radio. I went in and there was no one there. It was complete darkness in my bedroom. And I checked the socket again. I was actually checking it from afar because I was really scared if I turn my corner, I'll see a fucking face and a finger just like this.
Yo, what's up? What up, bro?
Just turning it on and off. I went back to the bathroom and I continued brushing my teeth.
So you mean you walked into your bedroom with your teeth?
Yeah, I was like, hello?
That's so damn funny.
So I went back to the bathroom to continue brushing my teeth, and once I was done, I put the toothbrush into the mug, you know, the cup,
holder thing.
Yeah, whatever. And I turned my head, and I saw the toothbrush flick, like it just went up and down, like it just flicked.
Even though it was like...
Yeah, it was like just standing still, like one, like that.
Wait, it went upwards?
It went like a bit, like it just triggered. You know what? It jumped a little.
For some reason, this ghost is very
Bored.
interested in music and brushing teeth.
He's very bored in the afterlife.
I guess.
Mm.
Yeah, I think ghosts would be bored in their afterlife. Like for me, like can you imagine you're a ghost and then you have nothing to do but go around and disturb people?
I mean, I won't
disturbing people definitely.
I won't disturb them in a horrific way. I think I'll like.
Oh, I will haunt you. I will find all my enemies and I will freaking haunt them.
I'll put every of their furnitures and belongings like 5 inches away from where they were, and then I'll see them watch it. I mean, I watch them burn. You know, because they'll bump into things. I figure out why they're different.
Yeah.
Why? So my dad passed away when I was 3.5, and my dad was a very mischievous young man. He goes to the graveyard. He's not a bad man. He's just very naughty, and he goes to the graveyard to dig up some. He digs up some graves, and I don't know. I think he'll just look at what's inside the coffin or whatever, and then
he's very curious.
Yeah, and he and his friends actually, and a lot of, I mean, my dad died a Buddhist, so when he passed away, the monk actually looked at the photo of my dad and told my mom that maybe it wasn't lung cancer, which I don't think is true, but this is what the monk said. He said that maybe my dad didn't die from lung cancer, maybe the ghosts of whom he has disturbed.
How did the monk know about this?
I don't know, maybe he's just a fucking monk. Yeah. You know how like priests and monks are able to see, they are able to see the afterlife, or like how they lived, other people have lived, you know. And he looked at the picture of my dad and told my mom that maybe he didn't die from lung cancer, maybe because the ghost of whom he has disturbed came to him and slowly suck the soul out of him. Yeah, suck the life out of him. That's really creepy. I'm like, no. Yeah, because my dad could see ghosts. Like he saw a ghost, a female ghost, with her baby in her arms, following my mom when she was pregnant, wherever she was. You know, wherever my mom went.
Oh my god, you didn't tell me this. This is so creepy.
My mom and my dad used to live in another house before I was born. And when my mom was pregnant...
This is in Indonesia?
Indonesia. So when my mom was pregnant with me, my dad saw a female ghost carrying her infant in her arms and following wherever my mom goes. And my dad didn't tell my mom until we moved to another house, because my mom hated paranormal stories. So if I told my mom that I saw a ghost, she'd be like, nah, you know, you're just imagining stuff. So when I was at least around 4 or 5, my mom and I stayed in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. We didn't live there, we stayed there for a while. And I was entering the house
from the main door.
This is a condominium, so the huge door had hinges like the normal doors are, and I was taking off my shoes and my finger was right there at the my fingers were right there in between the door hinges, and my mom accidentally shut the door.
Ouch.
And splat goes my fingers.
Like really hard.
Yeah, it was
Oh my
really
God.
hard. So I mean, you can feel the pain, like two things slamming
That
against
is-
your fingers.
yeah, I
It was
hate that.
so painful, and I cried my eyes out. And my mom, she's a good woman. Just that she underreacts. My mom underreacts. So my mom scolded me for putting my fingers there. Like, no, the door didn't slam you. Your fingers were just there.
Like she's blaming you for being careless.
Yeah, so my mom blamed me for being careless and putting my fingers in between the door hinges. And I remember having my mom scold me and seeing my dad scold my mom, saying like, you shouldn't scold her, she's in pain, you know, go and like console her, the poor girl. And I told my mom this story a few days ago, and I told her how my dad scolded her for scolding me, and she looked at me puzzled like, your dad was not there. Your dad was never ever in KL with you. He was already gone by then, and it was just the two of us and your babysitter and maybe the maid, but your dad was never there. And I sat for a really long time in my sofa thinking
Like, your father was...
and thinking, did I see a ghost or was it a scrambled memory? Because it can be both. Scientifically, it may be a scrambled memory, but I am pretty sure that my dad was there.
Even though she was dead.
Even though, how am I supposed to know he was dead? I mean, I wasn't really sure what death was at the age was. Right? Right.
Yeah.
Bye, Dad. Bitch, you have like more scary story, especially the one with your sister.
But I only have one.
The
the
one
one
with
with
your
my
sister.
Oh.
Ooh.
The first story was this happened to me like quite a few years ago. I think I was like 15 or 14. Yeah, I was in secondary school. And okay, basically in the Hindu religion, right, there's this like tradition where every time you enter your house, you have to go straight to the toilet or the bathroom or whatever, and you have to like wash both your feet, because like in Hinduism, yeah, in case you didn't know what a foot looked like, because in Hinduism, we believe that like all those bad like energies and things stick to your feet. Yeah, I know it's pretty weird, but
Like
yeah,
a sticky toilet paper.
yeah, I guess, or chewing gum. Like they all stick to your feet.
Chewing gum
So-
is like illegal in Singapore.
Thanks for the input. So basically what happened was there's this I really followed this tradition very closely, even though I didn't personally believe in it. But then this one day I came home from school, and I think it was twilight. So it was like 6 p.m. Yeah, like the sun was setting, and I was so tired, like I had just had a really long day in school. So I came home and I didn't wash my feet. I just went straight to my room and I went straight to bed and I slept. I mean, of course I changed my clothes and stuff, and then I slept. And so I fell asleep at around 7 p.m. and I think this happened at around like 1 or 2 in the morning. Yeah, basically I had what you would call a sleep paralysis, where I was awake, like in my mind and in my body, like I was awake but I couldn't move, I couldn't open my eyes. Yeah, and that was like the first time in my whole life that I've had that experience. And like I was trying so hard to open my eyes, like I was trying really hard to open my eyes, but I just couldn't. And I could feel like and by the way, this happened like on this bed that we're sitting on. And like I could feel like these arms like sort of hugging me from behind, like what I'm doing now. Yeah, and it was kind of tight. Like I just felt like I was being hugged by someone. And even though I couldn't see because my eyes were closed, in my mind I could somehow like picture this woman who was like severely burned. Like her skin was all charred and black, and she was just really badly burnt. Yeah, and she was like, she didn't feel like a evil spirit or anything. She just really felt like a sad like woman, you know, like she was in pain, and she was hugging me really tightly, and I was so freaking scared. Even though it didn't feel like an evil spirit, I was just really scared. And I managed, yeah, and it felt like an hour. I don't really know how long it was, but I managed to like pry open my eyes, like force them open, and I looked behind me on my bed, and there was nothing like at all, but I could somehow still feel like the feeling around my waist of somebody hugging me, but it wasn't so strong anymore. Yeah, and then I just couldn't. I didn't have the guts to even get out of bed. I was so scared. Yeah, and so eventually I got up. I turned on the light. There was nothing. Went to the toilet. Yeah, and like I've done some research into it, and then people say that when you go into sleep paralysis, you tend to hallucinate stuff.
But you feel it.
Yeah, the thing is, I wasn't seeing anything. I was feeling it on my body, and even when I opened my eyes and fully awoke, I could still feel like somebody was hugging me. So I don't really know how you would explain that. Yeah.
Is anyone a scientist?
Could somebody help me with sleep paralysis? But the weird thing is that was the only time in my life that I've ever experienced sleep paralysis. Like since then, before then and now, I've never experienced.
I don't think anyone would want to experience sleep paralysis unless they purposely want to experience it themselves, like see how it feels like.
How it feels.
But a lot of people who have
it's horrible.
A lot of people who have gone through sleep paralysis totally freaked out, because you can actually hallucinate nightmarish images, not something pleasant at all.
And it looks really real.
No.
Basically, this story is currently still happening in this house. I have to give you some backstory to this. My mom, okay, there are 4 people in my family: my dad, my mom, my elder sister, and me. And my mom was actually pregnant with my supposed younger sister at this time, and I think I was like 3 or 4 years old. Yeah, I was really young, and my sister was like 8 or 9. Yeah, so what happened was when my sister was a kid, she was a very mischievous kid. Like she liked to play pranks on people and stuff like that. So there's this one day, at that time my mom worked the night shift, so she would go to work at night and she would come home in the morning, like early in the morning, like 6 a.m. And so she came home one day and it was still dark, and my sister was just getting up for school. So what happened was my sister went to hide behind somewhere in the kitchen, and my mom came into the kitchen and she jumped out and she scared my mom, and my mom had a miscarriage just there and then. Like she just miscarried like right there. Yeah, so that's how I lost my supposed little sister.
You know how freaky the whole incident is? Like no matter who, the image is like horrible because there's a baby.
Yeah, there's a little infant involved. Yeah, so and by the way, when my sister scared my mom got so freaked out that she had a miscarriage, right? And my mom is not a violent person or anything, but she was so angry she slapped my sister. I mean, of course, right, she had a freaking miscarriage. Yeah. So she had the miscarriage and we went on with life. Nothing really, like, there was nothing abnormal about it or anything like that. But many years later, when my sister was a teenager, I was like, I think 10 or 11 years old, my sister would always bring her friends to the house, and her friends would always say like, there's a little Indian girl in the kitchen. Like she just stands in the kitchen and she stares at my sister's friends. And the weird thing is, me, my sister, my mom, my dad, we've never seen anything. Like, it's always my sister's friends who see this little girl. And my sister actually brought home this one friend to the house, who actually slept over in the house, and during the night she actually woke up to somebody like strangling her.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like my sister woke up in the middle of the night, and she heard like this, like the sound of her somebody struggling to breathe. And so my sister looked over to her friend, and her friend was on the other bed, like holding her neck, like trying to get something off her neck, and she was struggling to breathe. Yeah. So like that's how we realized that we sort of came to the conclusion that maybe this little spirit could be my little sister, like the little sister that we are supposed to have, and maybe she's jealous that my sister has friends, like she's jealous that my sister brings friends over to the house. So she like attacks the friends.
That is like one of the most restless child ghost story I've ever heard.
Yeah.
It should be made into like a real horror movie because it's so.
It's like exactly like
how it should be scripted for a horror movie.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, in my family we never talk about it. Like, we don't like to talk about it at all. The thing is, this only happened like during a period of time like when I was 11 or 12. This only happened when I was like a preteen. Yeah, but nowadays it never happens. Like, my sister brings over friends to the house all the time. Like, nobody sees anything. Yeah, so I maybe she's at peace. I don't know. She moved on.
But I mean, like, do your sister's friends all can see ghosts? Because there's no way.
Almost all that came to the house could see a little girl in the kitchen. Almost all the friends. And there was this one time, oh my god, I have so many stories about this. There was this one time where my sister was talking to, okay, we live on the 3rd floor, so the ground level is not that low. I mean, it's not that far. You could actually, from the window itself, you can actually talk to a person at the ground level. So my sister's friend was at the ground level, and he was talking to my sister through the window. And halfway through the conversation, he suddenly said, "Who is that beside you?" And my sister got freaked out because there was nobody but her. And he said that later on he said that he saw like a little girl beside my sister. Yeah. And so that's when we knew, like, okay, there's definitely something in the house. Yeah, and we got really freaked out. Oh yeah, another thing, it's like, and I have never seen this little girl, by the way. It's only my sister's friends. Like, none of us have seen it. Yeah, but my sister's, I think she sort of saw this spirit. Like, whenever she would be walking home, like, you have to walk through the car park. And you can actually see my window. Yeah, from the window my sister would always see like a little person like peeping from under the window, like looking out. Yeah, because I mean it's a small girl, so she's not tall enough to reach the window, so she would see like somebody like peering out like this. Yeah. But recently there has been no sightings at all.
Just recently?
Not just recently, but for quite a few years.
Okay.
There have been no sightings.
Okay. But here's the thing, I can't see them. So which means if I were your sister's friend, I probably won't be able to see.
Maybe the people who saw were people who were able to see. Like, people who had the gift of seeing.
So many people have gifted.
So many people have what?
So many people have the gift.
Yeah, that's why a lot of my sister's friends saw. I think I have like another experience, but I don't really know if it's paranormal. Basically, I went to school for film, video production. So there were instances where we had to find places to film. And there was this one time where I was with my friend and we were at this really old hospital in Singapore, like really really old, like one of the first hospitals that were built in Singapore. And so we were walking, like the hospital is kind of weird because there's like the new renovated wing and there's like the old part. that has not been touched. So we were walking around there scouting for location to film, and it was late at night. I mean, not late, but it was like 9 or 10, and we were walking to the nearby the mortuary. I think it's a mortuary. You know, like the place in the hospital where they bring all the dead, like people who died during. Yeah, mortuary. So we were nearby there and we saw like this giant shadow, like figure, just like quickly dart past in the distance. Like it was really huge, a giant shadow. Yeah, and then like after that I started doing research into it. Then I found out that there's such a thing called shadow people. Yeah, and then I was like, I think that's what I saw, like a shadow person.
In my house too that time.
Oh yeah, I think it's a shadow person. I'm getting goosebumps. Alright you guys, so those were our personal paranormal experiences. If you want to give us your opinion, please let us know in the comment section. Do you believe in the paranormal? Do you not believe? Why? Why not? If you have any personal experiences, please comment and let us know. We would love to hear your stories. Yeah.
Is the paranormal the same as the afterlife? No, wait, you
Well, the paranormal is like anything
the demons and angels and
like ghosts, even UFOs, aliens, like things that we don't really know about.